I'm going to finish off my long weekend of Force of Will with a discussion of what could go into one or more Grimm from CMF builds. I think this ruler, because it's fairy tales, has many cards that can go into a build, and I think it's even like its own little mini cube. Okay, so this is what this video is gonna be about, but I'll present also. So I'm gonna be focusing, and probably next weekend, and if not the weekend after, I'm not sure. I'll be focusing on these rulers from the Grimm cluster. These are the ones that I currently have at my disposal. But I'm going to crack 6 more packs of CMF, followed by 6 more packs of Twilight Wonder, and 6 more packs of, I'm sorry, I have them in the wrong order, but Curse of the Frozen Casket. So, and I think I do have a box of Curse of the Frozen Casket on the way, and I'm going to crack that whole box in one go because I want to see what the yield is. Alright? So in this particular video, we're talking about fairy tales, and we're talking about the various ways fairy tales could be built using Grimm. Now in Grimm, continues, you may pay the attribute cost of fairy tale resonators with will of any attribute. So that's great. All your fairy tales might as well be like artifacts of magic or machines in Force of Will. Now, you activate, you pay 1, discard a fairy tale, search your main deck for a fairy tale resonator, reveal it, and put it into your hand. That's really good. You can always get a better resonator fairy tale by sacking one of the ones that you currently control on the board. Shuffle your main deck, pay this ability only once per turn. So you can do that trick once per turn. That's fantastic. Alright, so I think I've got a bunch of fairy tales in here. Then what do I also have? I have cards in white or light and wind. So I have the wind package, if you will. This is a lot like Legacy in Magic, Legacy and Vintage, where very often you'll have like your blue package, you know, from your Power 9 and all these other cards that are really strong in wind. And some favor fairy tales. But first, I'm going to go through the fairy tales themselves. There aren't that many fire fairy tales, and this is why I believe that having fire as one of the colors in this deck, in this, what I think is a prototypical fairy tale deck, wouldn't serve us well. Although this one has swiftness, and that's really nice. Okay, then we have the Musketeers. Incredibly enough, the Musketeers by themselves, with the Musketeer ruler, I'm not sure how good of a deck that would be. That would actually be a fairy tale deck, but because Aramis has produce wind for each Musketeer resonator you control, there's like a dozen built in here. This is why Grimm is his own cube, his own mini cube. You could have all the Musketeers. There's another Musketeer that I'm not even showing in here that is also fairy tale Musketeer, I believe. I should have put him in here. And you could have like 12 Musketeers, and whenever this guy lands, as many Musketeers as you have on the board, you'll get a big mana ramp. Okay, and this guy is aggro at 7/4. And he's got Pierce, which I believe is Trample. Okay. Then there are other fairy tales. There's this combo. Let me see. There's this combo right here, which is, and again, this is another package of 12 that you could include. This is yet another Grimm deck. So Insomnia Dormouse, this guy. Sane Hatter, that guy, and September Hare. Okay, so let's read through these 3 and see what they do. For water, put a Tea Party counter on each of these 3 guys. Say you have all 3 on the board. Let's just say for that scenario, with 1 blue, you can put a tea party counter on each one of them. Tap, target resonator with total cost less than or equal to the number of T parties. So this is going to be your stall tactic. Okay, it doesn't recover during its controller's next recovery phase. Then remove all T party counters from this card. So it's a one-shot deal. You put the counters on it, you tap it, and you do some control, but then you lose those counters. Okay. Then so that one was, this one was, it doesn't recover, so it's a tapper. Okay. This one is return. So you return something to the hand. Now this guy is a 4/6 for 2. This is a 6/7 for 3. And in this case, you return the resonator to the hand. Yeah. And then you lose the counters. And then this one, you draw a card. Yeah. Okay, that's great. So draw a card. Tapper, and then return. So that's it. That's your combo. And you would have 4 of each of these in a deck. Okay, then there are a few other fairy tales from the Moonlit Savior that are pretty cool. Okay, so put a support counter, then target resonator gets +2/+2 for each support counter. So every turn you tap it, you put another counter. Yeah, but you do it once also. You give that other card the counters. No, it just gains it. Yeah. Okay, so it's a single boost. You put the counters, you give it a single boost, and you lose those counters, and they don't land on the other resonator. Okay. Then other fairy tales resonator you control cannot be targeted by spells or ability. So this protects fairy tales. Rest another recovered fairy tale resonator. This card gains a butt. Okay, so in case somebody tries to whack it, you can rest another fairy tale to protect this one. So this one protects the other ones, the other ones protect this one. That's good. Everybody's happy. And then this card enters your field rested. So it's got to wait a turn for you to do something with it. Then for 3 water, put it on top of your main deck, search your main deck for up to 3 fairy tale resonators, reveal them, and put them into your hand. That's pretty sweet. It otherwise does nothing. I mean, it's a 1/1, 100, 100. But boy, I think that's a really cool effect. Okay, then of course, a card that needs no introduction, Captain Hook. I mean, you can drop 2 extra stones, so it really gains you 2 additional turns in stones at least. Or you can return up to 2 target resonators to their owner's hands. And he's only a 5-drop. That's very powerful. Then Red Riding Hood. When it's put into a graveyard from your field, put the top card of your Magic Stone deck into your field rested. Okay, so somebody whacks it, you actually gain a stone for the next turn. Gains +4/+3, of course times 100, as long as you control 5 or more Magic Stones. So it becomes a 700/700. Gains swiftness, first strike, and precision, as long as you control 7 or more Magic Stones. Yeah, it can get pretty big. That's really, really good. And I'm planning to crack a bunch of Curse of the Frozen Casket packs. Of course, that whole box that I've got on order. So it'll be interesting if I crack another one of these. There's many cards that I want to crack from that set, especially Zero. But you must never crack a booster box for something rare like Zero, because I've cracked, I don't know, probably like 100 packs of Curse of the Frozen Casket, and I never cracked the Zero. The Zero I have actually ordered as a single. Then Red Riding Hood. It's got Will of Hope because it's from Echoes, and CO3 gains flying and swiftness. It's a 1-drop. That's pretty good. Then there's this, going into darkness for fairy tales, and again, that's yet another deck for Grimm. Okay, so just talking about the fairy tales is going to take me a while, and I'll probably have to do 2 videos for Grimm because there's just so much to Grimm, with there being so many fairy tales only in these 3 clusters. So this is really the what I would call the Fairy Tale package from Curse of the Frozen Casket combined, and then adding on one card from Echoes. And this could make its own darkness Grimm deck, or add darkness to a deck. I mean, you could add the supporting cards. As a matter of fact, I'm adding here for this combo the black treasure box, which means that I'll have to have like a Ruler's Memoria or something, some kind of a City of Brass that'll give me access to darkness. So at the beginning of your turn, destroy this card on Bestowed Resonator. So you put it on something and then you destroy it. But also with Otohime, if a Resonator be put into the graveyard from your opponent's field, remove it from the game instead. That's nice. You're banishing. Tap it. You may bestow a black treasure box from your hand to target Resonator. So you actually save the extra will. Okay? That's a trick. And then also from Curse of the Frozen Casket, enters the field, enters your field, destroy target damaged Resonator. It's very good. Then when it's put into a graveyard, search your deck for a treasure box. So it's part of the combo. It helps the combo. Yeah. And then when this card isn't blocked while attacking your opponent, target opponent loses 1,000 life. That's pretty nice. Is not blocked while attacking your opponent. So you're going to attack it for 0, and somebody should not block it, which means that you got to put something on it. I mean, I would bestow something on it. That's what I would do. Then there's this, the Cheshire Cat from Curse of the Frozen Casket. Gains flying, first strike, swiftness, and or precision, as long as there are cards with that ability in any removed area that were removed by this card. This card gains +1/+1 for each card in any removed area that was removed by this card. For 0, choose 1. So play this ability only once per turn. Remove a card in your hand from the game, or put a card from a removed area that was removed by this card into your hand. So you're going back and forth. You're removing things. You're probably going to put them under this card, and then you're taking them in. It's almost like a bank. And depending on the abilities that the bank has, is what the abilities of Cheshire Cat has. I think it's a pretty good card. Just my opinion, as if I knew what I was talking about. All right, so then more of the CFC by itself has a really strong fairy tale theme. Okay, so we've got a 2-drop, a 1-drop, and a 3-drop in wind, and then a blue one. So let's talk about the water one. It's a very simple card. Enters the field, draws you a card. Great card. Magic is full of these cards. They're always very useful. Then, Wendy. Whenever another Fairy Tale Resonator enters your field, recover this card. Gains +2/+2 as long as you control a magic stone and control no special magic stones. It's never going to do that in most of the decks that I would want to build. As long as you control Eternal Boy Peter Pan, this card cannot be attacked and gains flying. I should have put him here. I have got him somewhere. Oh yeah, I don't have him here. Then you've got your Fairy of Neverland, which is a 2/5/5 flyer, and then all your fairy tales that cost 1 gain flying. Nice. Target Fairy Tale Resonator gains +2/+1200. Very fat butt. So this is kind of like a protector card. Yeah, it protects your other fairy tales. Then of course there's our friend the band Tinkerbell from CMF. Gains +2/+2 for each fairy tale you control. So you got to drop a bunch of fairy tales and then drop this and it gets pretty big. So you have 4, it's going to be an 800 and it's only a 1 cast. So it's going to have flying, interestingly. It's quite a good combo with our friend here. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, Tinkerbell. Very good. Then Hamlin's Pied Piper. Target Resonator your opponent controls, it doesn't recover, so you're going to tap something when it comes in, and then continuous. When it attacks, rest target Resonator opponent controls, again, it's always putting everything else to sleep, even though it's a 5, 1000, 1000. You're doing a pretty mid to late game. And then, of course, the card that requires no introduction, but we're talking about fairy tales, and it is, enters, you draw 2 cards, then put a card from your hand on top of your main deck. So basically, scry 2, draw a card. It can be targeted by spells or abilities. Means that you also cannot put anything on it either. And when it's put into a graveyard, you get it back into your deck. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Best resonator in the game as far as I'm concerned.